Tom loved the lake. It was his favorite place in the whole world. Every morning, he woke up early just to sit by the water, breathe the fresh air, and watch the sun rise over the calm waves. His little boat floated gently near the shore, tied to a wooden post he had fixed many years ago. The lake was quiet, peaceful, and full of memories. Tom had lived in the small neighborhood for almost 10 years. It was a simple place with small houses, green trees, and friendly neighbors. Many people came to the lake to fish or swim during the summer, and some even held small parties near the shore. But Tom liked to keep things calm. He didn't mind sharing the lake with others, as long as they respected it. One day, while Tom was cleaning his boat, he saw a piece of paper stuck on his front door. It was a letter with the official logo of the neighborhood HOA Homeowners Association. Tom frowned as he took it down carefully. The paper looked important, and his heart beat a little faster. He opened the letter and began to read. "Dear Mr. Tom," it said, "we have noticed that you are keeping your boat docked by the lake in an area that is not allowed by HOA rules. Please remove your boat immediately, or we will be forced to take further action. The community rules clearly state that boats must be kept only in the designated marina area. Thank you for your cooperation." Tom's hands trembled slightly as he read the letter again. He could not believe what he was seeing. How could the HOA suddenly ask him to move his boat? He had been docking it there every day for years. No one had ever said anything before. His mind raced with questions. Was this some kind of mistake? Why now? Did someone complain about him? Tom decided to ask his neighbor, Mr. Collins, who had lived in the neighborhood much longer. Mr. Collins was an older man with a kind face and a slow, thoughtful voice. When Tom showed him the letter, Mr. Collins shook his head sadly. "I don't know, Tom. The HOA has become stricter recently," he said. "Maybe they want to control everything now. But I never heard of a rule like this before." Tom felt a cold wave of worry. The lake was more than just water and trees to him. It was part of his life. He could not imagine being told to leave it behind. That evening, Tom sat by the lake, looking at his boat. The gentle waves moved it slowly. The sky turned orange and pink, and birds flew quietly across the horizon. The lake seemed peaceful, but Tom's heart was heavy. He remembered the first time he came to this place. It was a hot summer day, and he had just bought the small house near the lake. The water had looked so clear and inviting that he decided to buy a boat too. Since then, the lake had been his escape from the busy world. Tom thought about the neighbors who used the lake too. There was the fishing club, a group of friendly men who met by the water every weekend. They talked loudly and laughed, and sometimes Tom joined them to listen to their stories. The lake was their gathering place as well. But Tom never questioned who actually owned the lake. He had always thought it was public, or maybe shared by the neighborhood. Now, this letter made him think differently. The next day, Tom went to the local library to look for old records about the lake and the neighborhood. He asked the librarian for help. After hours of searching through dusty books and papers, Tom found something that caught his attention: a very old document titled Lake Ownership and Land Deeds. His hands shook as he opened the fragile pages. The paper was yellow and worn, but the writing was clear. The document showed that the lake and the land beneath it were owned by someone in his family, his grandfather, to be exact. Tom felt a strange mix of surprise and pride. He owned the lake. The whole lake. He read the paper carefully. It said that the lake was private property and that the owner had the right to control who could use it and how. Suddenly, the letter from the HOA didn't make sense anymore. He closed the book and looked out the window. The lake sparkled in the sunlight, waiting for him. Tom decided he needed to know more. If the lake was really his, why was the HOA trying to tell him what to do? And what about the fishing club and the other neighbors? He knew one thing for sure: he would not move his boat without understanding the truth. Tom's quiet life was about to change. The peaceful lake he loved was about to become the center of a bigger story, one filled with surprises, challenges, and choices he never expected to face. As the sun set behind the trees, Tom stood up, feeling both nervous and ready. He would fight for the lake. It was his home, his memory, and now, his responsibility. After discovering the old deed, Tom felt a mix of excitement and confusion. He sat on his porch, the paper resting gently in his hands. How could no one have told him that he owned the lake all these years? It seemed almost impossible. For years, he had believed the lake was a shared place, open for everyone in the neighborhood. Now, it was clear the lake belonged to him. But knowing this was only the beginning. The next morning, Tom decided to visit the lake early. The air was cool, and soft birdsong filled the silence. As he walked toward the water, he noticed something he had never paid much attention to before. Near the edge of the lake, a small group of men were busy unloading fishing gear from their trucks. They laughed and joked, carrying nets, rods, and coolers. Tom recognized them as members of the local fishing club. They met there every weekend, casting lines into the water and sharing stories about the biggest fish they had caught. Tom had often watched them from a distance. He liked how the lake brought people together. But now, with the knowledge that he owned the lake, he began to wonder how long had they been using his property without his permission? He stepped closer to the water's edge, trying to listen. One of the men spotted him and waved. "Hey, Tom," called out an older man with a friendly smile. "Come join us. The fishing's good today." Tom smiled politely but shook his head. "Thanks, but I just wanted to check something." The men nodded and returned to their work. Tom's eyes drifted to the water. The lake looked peaceful, but beneath its calm surface, there were many secrets. He pulled the old deed from his pocket and looked at it again. If the lake was private property, then who had allowed the fishing club to use it? Had the HOA known about this? Determined to find answers, Tom went to the neighborhood office later that day. The building was small and plain, but the HOA had a lot of power here. Tom asked to speak with Claire, the HOA president. She was a strict woman in her 40s, known for her careful attention to rules. Claire greeted Tom politely but seemed surprised by his visit. "I've received your letter about moving your boat," Tom began. "But I recently found this document." He handed her a copy of the old deed. "It says I own the lake. I want to understand why the HOA is asking me to move my boat when the lake is my property." Claire took the paper and studied it carefully. Her face grew serious. "This deed, it is very old. We did not know about it before. Usually, the HOA manages the lake for the whole community. The fishing club and many neighbors use it regularly." Tom frowned. "But if I own it, shouldn't I be the one making decisions about it?" Claire sighed. "Normally, yes. But the HOA has been handling the lake's use for years. The fishing club has permission from us to be here." Tom felt his heart tighten. "Permission from the HOA? But I'm the owner. They had no right." Claire looked uncomfortable. "It's a complicated situation, Tom. The HOA did not mean to cause trouble. We want to find a solution that works for everyone." Tom nodded slowly. He realized this was bigger than just his boat or the letter. The lake was a place many people cared about. But now he understood that the fishing club had been using his property without knowing it, or at least without his permission. After leaving the HOA office, Tom walked back to the lake. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The fishing club members were still there, packing up their gear. Tom approached the group again. "I need to talk to you all," he said firmly but kindly. The men stopped and looked at him, curious. "I recently found out that I own this lake," Tom explained. "That means the water and the land beneath it belong to me. I want to work with you, but I need to set some rules so we can all enjoy this place." The older man, the one who had invited him before, stepped forward. "We didn't know you owned it, Tom. We've been coming here for years. It's been a place for friends, for fun." Tom smiled gently. "I understand. That's why I want us to find a way to keep it that way, but with respect for the property. I'm willing to help maintain the lake, clean it, and make sure it stays safe." There was a pause as the fishing club members looked at one another. Finally, one of them nodded. "We want to keep coming here too. Let's talk more and figure something out." Tom felt a small hope grow inside him. Maybe this wouldn't be a fight after all. Later that night, Tom sat on his porch, thinking about everything he had learned. The lake was more than land or water, it was a place of memories, friendships, and life. Now, he had a chance to protect it in a new way. But he knew there would be challenges ahead. The HOA was still watching closely, and some neighbors might not agree with him. Still, Tom was ready. He loved this lake too much to give up. As the stars began to twinkle above, Tom looked out toward the water. The lake was calm once again, but beneath its surface, changes were coming. And Tom was at the center of it all. The next community meeting was held in the small town hall near the neighborhood park. Tom arrived early, holding the old deed in his hand like a secret weapon. His heart beat fast as he stepped inside. He knew that tonight would change everything. The room was filled with familiar faces, neighbors chatting quietly, some laughing, others with serious looks. At the front, Claire, the HOA president, was already seated behind a long table. Her expression was calm but firm, as always. Tom took a deep breath and waited for his turn to speak. The meeting began with usual topics: road repairs, gardening rules, and plans for a summer picnic. Then it was time for Tom. He stood up and cleared his throat. "I have something important to share," he said, his voice steady but polite. "I recently found a document that proves I own the lake. This means I have the legal right to control how it is used." A few neighbors looked surprised, whispering among themselves. Claire's eyes widened, and she adjusted her glasses. Tom continued, "I received a letter from the HOA asking me to move my boat, but if I own the lake, I should have a say about this. I want to work with the community, but I need to protect my rights." Claire stood and faced the room. "Tom, this is unexpected. We were not aware of this deed. The HOA has been managing the lake for many years for the benefit of all residents. The fishing club, for example, has been using the lake regularly." Tom nodded. "I understand that. But as the owner, I have the responsibility to take care of the lake. I also want to ensure it is used respectfully. I am willing to help maintain the lake and find rules that everyone can follow." One neighbor, Mrs. Green, raised her hand. "Tom, what does this mean for the rest of us? Will we still be able to use the lake for fishing and boating?" Tom smiled. "I want everyone to enjoy the lake. I just ask that we agree on clear rules so the lake stays clean and safe. We can limit the number of boats and set hours for fishing. It's about fairness and respect." Claire looked thoughtful. "This will require changes to our current agreements. The HOA must review these documents and update our policies. I suggest forming a small committee to work with Tom and the fishing club." The room murmured in agreement. Some neighbors nodded, while others looked unsure. Then, Tom surprised himself by speaking again. "I don't want this to be a fight. I want the lake to be a place where neighbors come together. But I must protect what is mine." Claire nodded slowly. "We will work together on this. Tom, please send us a copy of the deed, and we will start the process. For now, I ask that you don't move your boat until we have a clear plan." Tom agreed, feeling a weight lift from his chest. The meeting ended with a sense of hope and uncertainty mixed together. After the meeting, Claire approached Tom quietly. "This is new for all of us," she said. "But I believe we can find a way forward." Tom smiled. "Thank you, Claire. I want to make this right for everyone." Walking home, Tom thought about the challenges ahead. He knew that not everyone would be happy, but he felt ready to face them. The lake was his family's legacy, and he would protect it no matter what. After the meeting, news about Tom owning the lake spread quickly through the neighborhood. People talked in small groups on sidewalks, in front yards, and at the grocery store. Some neighbors were excited, some were worried, and others were confused. Tom noticed the change right away. Before, people greeted him with smiles and nods. Now, some avoided eye contact, and a few whispered as he passed by. One morning, as Tom watered the plants outside his house, his neighbor Lucy walked over. Lucy was a kind woman in her 50s who loved gardening and often shared fresh vegetables with Tom. But today, her smile was faint, and she looked worried. "Tom," she said gently, "I heard about the lake. It's a surprise for all of us." Tom nodded. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I just found the deed, and I want to do what's right." Lucy sighed. "Many of us love the lake. The fishing club especially. It's more than just water to them, it's tradition." Tom understood. The fishing club had been there for years, enjoying the lake on weekends. They were part of the community. "I want to work with everyone," Tom said. "Maybe we can find a way that respects both my rights and the community's love for the lake." Lucy smiled a little. "I hope so. But some people are upset. They feel like this is a fight." Tom felt a heavy weight in his chest. He didn't want to fight his neighbors. He wanted peace. That evening, Tom attended a small gathering at the local community center. A group of neighbors had come together to talk about the lake situation. Tom listened quietly as people shared their feelings. One man, Mr. Lee, spoke loudly. "Tom, we don't want to lose the lake. We've been fishing here for years. If you take control, what will happen to us?" Tom replied calmly, "I don't want to take anything away. I want to protect the lake so we can all enjoy it for many years. But rules are needed to keep it safe and clean." Some neighbors nodded, but others looked doubtful. As the weeks passed, the neighborhood slowly divided. Some supported Tom's ownership and his idea to care for the lake responsibly. Others supported the fishing club and wanted to keep things as they were. At the next HOA meeting, voices were louder. Arguments started about who should have more control and whether Tom was being fair. Claire, the HOA president, tried to calm everyone. "Let's remember that we are neighbors. We need to find a solution that works for all of us. But the tension was clear. One afternoon, Tom found a note on his door. It was unsigned. Leave the lake alone. It belongs to the community, not you. Tom's heart sank. He knew this was just the beginning of a difficult path. Despite the challenges, Tom kept working. He cleaned the lake's shore, picking up trash left behind by visitors. He repaired the old wooden dock and planted new trees nearby. Slowly, some neighbors began to change their minds. They saw Tom's care and effort and started to respect him more. One morning, the fishing club's leader, Mr. Harper, approached Tom. "I see you're serious about the lake," he said quietly. "Maybe we can talk and find a way to share it?" Tom smiled. "I would like that very much." As the sun set over the lake, Tom felt hope again. The community was divided, but with patience and kindness, maybe they could heal. The lake was still his. But it was also theirs. And together, they would find a way forward. After weeks of quiet tension, Tom decided it was time to take the next step. He wanted to bring everyone together, neighbors, the HOA, and the fishing club, to find a solution that would work for all. One bright Saturday morning, Tom sent out invitations to a meeting by the lake. He asked Claire, the HOA president, the fishing club leaders, and several neighbors to join him. He hoped the fresh air and peaceful surroundings would help everyone talk calmly. When the day arrived, a small group gathered near the wooden dock Tom had repaired. The sun shone warmly, and the gentle sound of water lapping against the shore created a peaceful background. Tom greeted everyone with a smile. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "I know this situation has been difficult for everyone. But I believe we can find a way to share the lake respectfully and fairly." Claire nodded. "We appreciate you inviting us, Tom. The HOA wants what's best for the community." Mr. Harper, the fishing club leader, looked around. "We've been using this lake for many years. It's a place of friendship and memories. We don't want to lose that." Tom listened carefully. "I understand. I want the lake to be a place where everyone can enjoy and feel welcome. But it's also my family's property. That means we need some rules to keep it safe and clean." The group began to talk about ideas. Tom suggested limiting the number of boats docked at the lake at the same time. He proposed setting specific hours for fishing and boating to avoid overcrowding. He also offered to organize regular cleanup days to keep the shore beautiful. Claire added, "The HOA can help by updating the community rules to reflect these changes and support Tom's efforts." The fishing club members agreed to these ideas, though some asked for small adjustments to fit their schedules. As the discussion continued, the group worked together to create a plan that balanced everyone's needs. Tom felt a sense of relief and hope grow inside him. Before ending the meeting, Tom said, "I want to thank you all for listening and being willing to work together. This lake means a lot to me, and I believe it means a lot to all of us." Mr. Harper smiled warmly. "We're glad to have you on our side, Tom." In the following weeks, the new plan was shared with the whole neighborhood. Many neighbors appreciated the effort to bring peace and fairness. Tom and the fishing club began organizing regular cleanup days. They picked up trash, fixed old benches, and planted flowers along the shore. The lake started to look better than ever. One afternoon, as Tom worked by the water, Lucy walked over with a basket of fresh vegetables. "Thank you, Tom," she said softly. "You're making a difference here." Tom smiled, feeling a quiet happiness. He knew the road ahead would still have challenges, but this moment made it all worth it. As the sun set over the lake, Tom sat in his boat, looking out at the calm water. The gentle waves reflected the soft colors of the sky. For the first time in weeks, he felt peace. The lake was no longer just his property or the community's playground. It was a place of new beginnings, a place where people could come together, respect each other, and enjoy nature's beauty. And Tom was ready to protect it, not just as the owner, but as a neighbor and a friend. After the community meeting by the lake, things seemed to be improving. Tom felt hopeful. The fishing club was cooperating, the neighbors were more friendly, and even the HOA seemed willing to work with him. But peace often hides challenges beneath the surface. One bright morning, Tom was walking along the lake's edge when he noticed something strange. Near the far shore, some new wooden stakes had been placed in the water. Curious, he walked closer. As he approached, a man from a nearby house waved at him. "Hey Tom, nice to see you," the man called. Tom nodded but frowned. "Do you know who put those stakes there?" The man shrugged. "Some folks from the other side of the neighborhood. They said they want to build a small dock for their boats." Tom felt a tight knot in his stomach. "Did they ask for permission?" The man shook his head. "No, but it's the lake, we all use it, right?" Tom looked at the stakes again. If those docks were built without his approval, it could cause problems. The lake was his property, and anything built there needed his permission. Later that day, Tom called Claire, the HOA president, to talk about the situation. "Claire, I saw some stakes in the water. Someone is planning to build docks without asking me," Tom said, trying to keep his voice calm. Claire sounded concerned. "I didn't know about this. I'll check with the HOA board right away." Tom nodded, even though Claire couldn't see him. "I want to avoid conflicts. But if they build without permission, I will have to take action." Over the next few days, Tom learned that a few neighbors had started placing small docks on the lake without informing anyone. Some believed the lake was a shared space, and they didn't think permission was necessary. This made the neighborhood tense again. One afternoon, Tom went to the fishing club meeting to discuss the problem. The club's leader, Mr. Harper, listened carefully. "This could get messy," Mr. Harper said. "If the docks block the fishing spots, it will cause fights." Tom agreed. "I want to solve this peacefully. I plan to talk to the neighbors and explain the rules." Together, they made a plan to visit each neighbor who had built or planned to build docks. They wanted to explain the situation and ask for cooperation. Tom felt nervous. He didn't want to be seen as the owner who stops everyone, but he also needed to protect his property. The first visit was to Mr. Daniels, who had placed 2 stakes near his house. "Mr. Daniels, I'm glad we can talk," Tom began. "The lake is private property, and any docks need my permission. I hope you understand." Mr. Daniels frowned. "I thought we all shared the lake. Why didn't you say so before?" Tom explained, "I just found out about the ownership recently. I want us all to enjoy the lake, but we need rules." Mr. Daniels sighed but nodded. "All right, Tom. I'll remove the stakes for now. Let's talk more soon." One by one, Tom and the fishing club members visited neighbors. Some were upset, others understood quickly. Slowly, the message spread. But Tom also noticed that some neighbors were still unhappy. Rumors began to circulate that Tom was trying to take over the lake. Some avoided talking to him. One evening, as Tom walked by the lake, he heard voices from behind the bushes. "We can't let him control everything," one voice said. Tom stepped closer and saw two men whispering. "We need to do something," the other man said. Tom's heart sank. He realized that not everyone wanted peace. That night, Tom sat on his porch, looking out at the quiet lake. The stars shone brightly, but Tom felt troubled. He loved this lake. It was his family's land, his home. But protecting it meant facing challenges he hadn't expected. Still, Tom was determined. The next morning, he wrote a letter to the HOA board, explaining everything clearly. He asked for their help in keeping the neighborhood united and the lake safe. He also invited all the neighbors to a special meeting by the lake to talk honestly, to listen, and to find a way forward together. As Tom folded the letter, he felt a spark of hope. The lake was more than just water and land. It was a place of community, trust, and care. And no matter what happened, Tom was ready to protect it. The day of the special meeting arrived. Tom stood by the lake's edge, watching as neighbors slowly gathered near the wooden dock. The air was cool, but the sun warmed their faces. It was clear that many were curious and some still cautious. Tom took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Thank you all for coming," he said. "I know things have been difficult between us. But this lake is important to all of us, and I believe we can find a way to protect it together." Claire, the HOA president, stood beside him. "The board agrees. We want to work with Tom and the community to make sure the lake stays a place of joy for everyone." Tom nodded and continued, "I want to be clear, I own the lake, but I don't want to make it a place of rules and restrictions only. I want it to be a place of friendship, respect, and care. That means we need to listen to each other." Mr. Harper, the fishing club leader, stepped forward. "The fishing club agrees. We want to follow new rules that keep the lake safe and open. But we also want to keep our tradition alive." One by one, neighbors shared their thoughts. Some spoke about their memories by the lake picnics, fishing trips, and quiet mornings watching the sun rise. Others talked about their concerns about being left out or losing access. Tom listened to every word, feeling the weight of their feelings. Then he spoke again. "This lake is a place for all of us, but we need to respect it and each other. I propose a new agreement, with clear rules about use, care, and safety. But I want everyone's input before we decide." The group agreed to form a committee made of neighbors, HOA members, the fishing club, and Tom. Together, they would write a new plan for the lake's future. Weeks passed as the committee met, discussed, and sometimes disagreed. But slowly, they built something new, a shared vision for the lake. The plan included limits on the number of boats, scheduled times for fishing and boating, regular cleanup events, and respect for the natural environment. It also set up a process for neighbors to ask permission before making changes near the lake. Tom helped organize the first cleanup day under the new plan. Neighbors of all ages came, picking up trash, planting flowers, and repairing benches. Children laughed as they played by the water, and even some of the more doubtful neighbors joined in. Tom felt a warm pride in his chest. The lake was coming back to life, not just as his property, but as a true community space. One afternoon, as Tom was fixing a fishing net, Lucy approached with a basket of fresh tomatoes. "Thank you, Tom," she said, smiling. "You've brought us together." Tom smiled back. "I couldn't have done it without everyone's help. This lake belongs to all of us now." That evening, Tom sat on his porch, watching the sun set behind the trees. The sky was painted with pinks and oranges, and the lake shimmered softly. He thought about the long road that had brought him here, the confusion, the fights, the doubts, and now the hope. Tom knew challenges would still come, but he also knew they could face them together. The lake was more than land and water. It was a symbol of community, trust, and respect. And Tom was proud to be its guardian, not just as the owner, but as a friend to everyone who loved the lake. As the stars began to twinkle, Tom whispered quietly, "This is just the beginning."